Ovians, right, boys. I'm gonna go super deep on this one, so hopefully you can stay all the way until the end, because I'm just gonna drop banger after banger after banger. And I'm going to explain the 9 reasons why cold approach doesn't work for 99% of men. So if you're somebody and you've come across my content and you're like, do you know what? I vibe with this fucker. I want to get out there. I want to put myself through the social fire. I'm sick of dating apps. I'm sick of nightclubs. I'm sick of trying to get women through my social circle. I don't want to be DMing 100 women a day like a little simp on social media. I want to learn cold approach. So what I want to do is I want to try and make this process as easy for you as possible. And I'm going to explain where a lot of guys go wrong, and I'm going to explain why they go wrong, and then I'm going to explain how to fix it. So yeah, stay with me all the way to the end if you want to unlock the skill, feel happy, feel more worthy, and start to receive love from the feminine. So yeah, I've got notes. So if you keep seeing me looking over here, I've got like some put my teeth back in. I got some bullet points written down. So let's just go. So the first reason is the mistake that I see is when guys prioritize beliefs over behaviors. Okay, so prioritizing beliefs over behaviors. Imagine that I wanted to get a better body, right? Imagine that I wanted to get into elite physical condition. But imagine that I didn't believe that going to the gym and training hard and lifting weights, imagine I didn't believe that would yield the results that I want, okay? If I didn't believe that, then I would be less inclined to actually go to the gym. But the thing that I'm saying to you boys all the time is belief follows action, okay? Belief follows action. So if you want to change your results, you first of all change your behaviors and then allow your beliefs to catch up. So the mistake that I see with guys is they want to learn cold approach, but they're not actually doing anything, right? They're not doing anything. They're not going out there. They're not putting themselves into conversations. They're not allowing belief to follow action. And if you prioritize beliefs over behaviors, then you're less likely to actually see any results. So the blueprint is put yourself out there, start before you know how, give yourself permission to suck, experiment without ego, speak without shame, give yourself 100 direct cold approaches to start to develop proficiency. And those first 100 direct cold approaches that you do, they're purely batting practice, okay? That's the way that you need to see them. You're not going out there for the first 100 direct cold approaches because you're trying to find your wife-worthy woman, because you're trying to find your future girlfriend. That might happen, like you might hit a home run by accident, but that's not the focus. The focus for those first 100 direct cold approaches is just to get skin in the game, to allow to put the focus on behaviors, all right? To shift the behaviors, to shift your beliefs. And one of the most powerful mindsets that I can give you boys is the one approach away mindset, okay? One approach away. You are only ever one approach away from your entire belief system changing. I remember I worked with a guy last year in London, and before we worked together, he had this self-limiting belief that he wouldn't be able to cold approach women and get the results that he wanted because he was bald, okay? And he thought that because he was bald, what's the point? What's the point in me even trying? So his behaviors or lack of behaviors were being castrated by his beliefs. He was telling himself the story that the women he would approach weren't going to be interested in him because he was bald. But understand, all we are, like as human beings, all we are is repeated patterns of beliefs and behaviors that we've accepted over time as ourselves. And then we solidify this identity that we formed through the language that we use. So for in his case, he would tell himself the story, I can't approach women because I'm bald. So that castrated him of his confidence. It meant he was thinking too many steps ahead, experiencing failure in advance, and rejecting himself on the women's behalf. But as soon as we started working together in London, he'd paid his money, he was with me in the city, he didn't have a choice anymore. He didn't have a choice because I was pushing him into approaches. I was showing him that it wasn't his bald head. That wasn't the reason he wasn't getting results. It was because he was telling himself the story he wasn't worthy of receiving love from the feminine because he didn't have any hair on his head. And it's like, it's so ludicrous when I look back on it now, but this is where so many guys are currently at. Whether you think you're not tall enough, whether you think you're not rich enough, not ripped enough, whether you think that you're the wrong race, the wrong height, the wrong body type. Plato said, it's people who tell stories that rule the world. And we want to make sure that the stories we're telling ourselves on a daily basis are serving rather than strangling us. One of my favorite quotes, who would I be in the absence of my concerns? Who would I be in the absence of my concerns? In other words, what would I do if I wasn't scared? I remember working with Ephraim. Actually, before I tell the Ephraim story, let me tell you what happened to Bald Guy. So by the end of our time together in London, he'd overcome that thing that we call approach anxiety. He had dates lined up, and now fast forward to today, he's now in a long-term relationship with a woman who he cold approached outside Russell Square. You know, in London, you've got Russell Square. He met her, I think this was about a couple of months after we worked together. She's now moved in with him. This was a guy as well, by the way, he'd come out of a 10-year long-term relationship. And I remember the exact conversation that I had with him. I was living in Warsaw at the time. I was actually coaching Ephraim whilst I had this conversation with him. He applied to work with me. We got on the phone and he was like, listen, Kristian, I'll be completely honest with you. I've just come out of a long-term relationship. I've got 2 young kids. The dating game has just changed massively and I've got no idea what I'm doing. I'll be completely transparent with you. I feel lonely. I feel as though I've hit a wall and I'm honestly just scared that I'm not going to be able to make any serious improvements. So he came to work with me. His belief at the time was at an all-time low. And this is why I'm trying to get across to you boys. It's the behaviors that we need to prioritize, not the beliefs, because the belief will follow action. I remember meeting up with this guy on the very first day. It was pissing it down with rain in central London. I met him outside the Boots in Piccadilly Circus. He rocked up. He was dressed appallingly. I was like, dude, I won't use his real name for anonymity. I was like, dude, how you doing? He's like, I feel depressed. I was like, here we fucking go. This is going to be a barrel of laughs. So this was like starting off from ground zero. This was a guy who had zero belief in himself. He had zero belief in the discipline of cold approach. He had zero belief that whatever he was going to do today was going to yield any positive results. And then by the end of our time together, honestly, this was a completely different, transformed individual. And I remember the conversation I had with him after we'd finished our immersion. I met up with him in London about a month later. Just a completely transformed individual, dressing better, walking up with more confidence, actually believing in himself now. And I remember walking with him to Knightsbridge in London because I was going to go on a date with a woman in Knightsbridge. And it came to that point of the conversation where we go our separate ways. And he just turned to me and he just said, thank you. But the way that he said it, it's like I've never felt a thank you like that before, where the thank you was like, it just felt like 10 years of dating problems had just disappeared in an instant. And I was like, do you know what, Kristian? All the money that we make, the experiences that we have, the women that we meet, that's the reason why we're in this game. It's impact over revenue. It's for those thank yous like that. So the reason why I tell this story is because he was at ground zero. He didn't have any belief in himself. He didn't believe that cold approach was going to work for him. But the way that he developed belief was by prioritizing the behaviors, taking the action of the version of himself who could get results from cold approach. And that's what I'm doing on this channel. I'm not teaching you how to cold approach. I'm teaching you how you can become the version of yourself who cold approach can work for. Belief follows action. Even if you don't believe that going to the gym and lifting weights will get you a better body, you're way more likely to get a better body by literally just positioning yourself in the gym, lifting the weights. Even if your mind's saying to you, this is a waste of time, what's the point, we shouldn't even be here. Just keep putting yourself in that environment. Belief follows action. If there's one thing you take away from my content, one thing you take away from this live stream, It's belief follows action. Once you change your behaviors, your beliefs will start to change. And that thing that I'm saying, that one approach away formula or mindset, the fuck you want to call it, you're only ever one approach away from your entire self-limiting beliefs exploding. So like if you're telling yourself the story right now that you can't get a girlfriend who's 6 foot because you're 5'7", all it takes, and this has happened so many times with guys inside the Entourage, we've got guys in our private network, the Entourage, who are around 5'6", 5'7", who are pulling women over 6 foot. I see this time and time again. And then what happens is belief follows action, not just with them, but with the rest of the group. So in our private WhatsApp group, guys will post like pictures of them on dates, videos of them on dates. They'll do like little debriefs of how certain dates went. And it's like, dude, I'm 5'7", I'm on this date with this 6 foot statuesque blonde bombshell. It's like, once you see it, because evidence has got the loudest voice. It's like if you're a guy and you're 5'7", purely by the fact that you just go out and you just approach, eventually you'll have that watershed moment where you just approach a girl who's 6 foot for whatever reason, she just likes you, right? She just likes you. So you get a number, you go on a date. That approach will change your entire life because it rewrites the narrative that you've been telling yourself. What do you believe to be true about the world that isn't? What do you believe to be true about yourself that isn't? What do you believe to be true about women that isn't? There's so much horseshit online. Like there is just so much horseshit online. And I do feel sorry for guys. I feel sorry for guys who do want to improve themselves, who do want to unlock a top 1% dating life, but they're getting sucked into all of this red pill or black pill dogma. Like, dude, it's all about looks, money, status. It's like, you are morons because this content is polluting the minds of men into thinking they need to be some personification of perfection in order to get a girlfriend. It's complete horseshit. The reason I can tell you this is because these are the guys who I work with. I work with guys who've got looks, money, status, and they still can't pull a muscle. And the reason is their internal has not caught up with their external. They're approaching women still feeling like the ugly duckling inside. The reason why you've got approach anxiety is not because you've got an illness. Anxiety is not an illness, it's an emotion. The reason you've got approach anxiety is because you just lack practice. Your actions have not aligned with your ambitions. You're not going to get yourself a beautiful girlfriend if you're just sat in your apartment thinking about approaching or watching videos on how to cold approach girls. You get out there in the field, you do 100 direct cold approaches, you understand belief follows action, and it's prioritizing the behavior, not prioritizing the belief. If I waited to feel motivated, which would be the belief, if I waited to feel motivated to do a live stream like this to create a piece of content, I'd be waiting forever. Like, before I do these streams, I'm not usually in a social mood. Like, I start to want to do it more the more I start doing it. So like at the start of this stream, I was stuttering over my words a little bit. I was like, oh fuck, I don't even know what I'm doing. But like the more I talk, the better I get, okay? So it's just the same with this. The more you do it, the better you'll get. Belief follows action. Write that down, put it on the lock screen. Fucking hell, that's only point 1. Jesus, that's the first point. Like the live stream if you're getting value from this. This is the sort of shit that these morons online charge $997 for. Join my $50 a month school community. Fucking hell, man. What are people going to give you that I can't give you for free? Funny. Right, number 2. You're not approaching enough, or you're approaching too much. I love this one. This is a dichotomy of beliefs that we're going to dig into. Right, you're not approaching enough. First of all, that should be self-explanatory. A lot of guys who want to get great at daytime cold approach, they're just not approaching enough. Okay, I said to you just then, it takes about 100 direct cold approaches to start to develop proficiency. How many approaches have you done this month? Like, serious question. From me to you, ask yourself, how many approaches have you done this month? If you want me to break it down in practical, minute detail, aim to do 20 direct cold approaches every single week for the next 4 weeks, okay? By the end of that, you've done 80. And then even if you aim to do 20 a week, you'll most likely do more because belief follows action. But if you can just aim to do 20 direct cold approaches every single week for the next 4 weeks, then you're going to be in a good place. But for most guys, their actions don't align with their ambition. They're not approaching enough, okay? So there's not much more I can say on that topic. You just need to get out there. You just need to start approaching. You need to put your ego to one side, be action focused rather than outcome dependent. View the rep as the reward, okay? Every approach that you do, you're investing into the identity of the version of yourself who you want to embody, right? That is so important because like, who do you actually want to become through this process? Who do you want to become? Because for the majority of guys that I work with, they want to become magnetic, socially confident individuals. They want to become the most fuckable version of themselves. They want to have this multi-international, multi-disciplinarian lifestyle where they're in great shape, they can talk to anybody, the finances are on check, they can travel the world, they're surrounded by a good group of like-minded guys. So like, this is why I view cold approach as the most aggressive form of self-development. And this can actually help your approach anxiety to dissipate. Because rather than going out there chasing the women, you're going out there to chase a feeling, and even more powerful, you're going out there to chase an identity. So the results or the reactions that you get from the women become secondary in comparison to the person that you're becoming, right? So if you can view daytime cold approach, especially when you're first starting, as a self-development, the most aggressive form of self-development, and then every rejection, every blowout, every undesirable outcome that you receive, rather than viewing it through the lens of, oh, that must mean I'm not worthy, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, I knew this would never work for a guy like me, rather than viewing it through that lens, it's thank you. Nothing happens to me, everything happens for me. The obstacle is the way. So by going out today and getting 10 blowouts in a row, I am becoming the version of myself who I need to be able to attract the women that I want to attract. If you can view it that way, not as rejection, but as feedback, like the universe is giving you the tools, the ammunition, the brain power to become the version of yourself who you need to be, right? Because for most guys, like, you know what, I would just like to approach the odd girl occasionally. Oh, you know, I just like to, on my way to the gym, I'd like to approach sexy Susie. You're not going to do that, right? Because integration only comes via immersion. There's no getting around it. You need to put the reps in. You need to get 100 direct cold approaches done, recognizing belief follows action. Now, the other mistake that guys make, this is usually guys who are really entrenched into the pickup space. I don't have any bad feelings towards you, but you just do need a little bit more recalibration. The other problem that I see is guys are approaching too much. Let me just take a sip of this lovely tea. Like the live stream if you're enjoying it, boys. I've got like way more shit to give you. Oh, that's nice. So the other mistake that I see is guys approach too much and then they become approach machines and their approaches become way too spammy. Once you've done 100 direct cold approaches, it's then about focusing on quality over quantity. It's not about counting your approaches, it's making your approaches count. And the way you make your approaches count is by taking those approaches and forming them into quality conversations which build investment and give the girl a compelling reason to want to see you again. I'll use Ephraim as a perfect example. Worked with Ephraim in Warsaw of last year. A lot of you boys will know Ephraim. Came to me. He was making six figures, he looked really good, he had great social skills, he had charisma, he had confidence. He still couldn't go over to a woman who he found attractive during the day and give her a compliment in a non-needy way. The reason why he sucked was because he just hadn't practiced this enough, okay? He hadn't been prioritizing behavior. Every time he saw a girl in San Francisco who he wanted to talk to, he would think of a convenient reason not to go over and approach her. Now the guy has got a cold approach channel all on his own. By the end of our time together, he had multiple dates a week, multiple dates lined up in the same day. He had instant dates. He literally lived 100 different lives within our time in Warsaw together. So yeah, I don't know if there's a better case study that I found. He's got his own cold approach channel now. Evidence has got the loudest voice. But like when we first worked together in Warsaw, it was just a case of, he started off with me as a shotgun, which meant that it was just approaching. We literally went out every single day for 30 days and we just practiced the skill set. I gave him the feedback, I held him accountable, I just gave him everything, right? I gave him everything that I could. That's why he's got the results that he has now. But when he went back home to San Francisco, the approach towards approaching changed. He was no longer the shotgun, he became the sniper. Right? Rather than focusing on counting his approaches, he was now focused on making his approaches count. So when he went over to women who he found attractive in San Francisco, because he'd stacked so much experience with me in Warsaw, he could be more selective about the women that he approached. And also he could focus on having those quality conversations. So after working with me in Warsaw, Ephraim went from hitting the streets every single day to now being more selective about the women he approached. And that's how you get to that point where Ephraim's got to, where you can integrate the skill set of daytime call approach into your life. You need that immersion period where you go hard. You have that obsession with progression, where cold approach does become the thing that you focus on. But learn day game. Don't become a day gamer. Okay, it's fine if you want to have a 30, 60, 90-day obsession period where you aim to do 20 direct call approaches every single week. You watch the videos, you listen to the podcast, you read the fucking blogs. But like, there needs to be an end game to day game, right? Day game is not the end game. What I try and get across to people is learn call approach so you can forget about call approach. Like, that's the way that I teach it. I give you the skill in super fast time, and it's, okay, how can we integrate this into your super busy lifestyle? Because the guys who I work with one-to-one, they're entrepreneurs, business owners, and high achievers. They don't have the time to be going out 5 hours every single day, parading around the pavements, hoping to get lucky with some low-quality girl. No, they want efficiency. So that's what we do when we work together one-on-one. I give you the playbook, I hold you accountable for your actions, and it's like, right, how do we integrate this into your super busy lifestyle? So make sure that you don't become a day gamer, right? Go hard and then go home. Get the skill so you can forget about the skill. So you're either not approaching enough or you're approaching too much, and then your approaches are becoming spammy, and it's like you're almost just doing the approaches for the sake of doing the approaches. Rather than approaching the women that you really like, it's easy to get into the habit of just becoming this approaching machine. And because you've been flexing the approaching muscle so much, it's easy to feel guilty about not approaching. But like, you want to get the skill and then use the skill deliberately, right? Day game deliberately. So that's good. That's fire. That's point number 2. The third point is you don't know what you want. This is so important. When you first get started with any discipline, like building a business, going to the gym, getting started with daytime cold approach, you need to know what you want, right? Because you start with the end in mind. A lot of guys, they just get started with daytime cold approach and they've got no idea why they're actually going out there. Like, what do you actually want? Like, what do you want from this? Do you just want to play the field and have a little bit of fun? Do you want to overcome your social anxieties? Do you want to develop rock star confidence where you can walk into a room and compel people without saying a word? Or are you like the guys who I work with? The guys who I work with, they're usually over the age of 35. They are not looking for liabilities anymore. They're looking for assets. That's what one of our guys inside the Entourage, Joseph, he explained to me that the older that you get as a man, your tastes and preferences start to change, and the thing that you're going out there for starts to change. So if you're anything like the guys that I work with over the age of 35, you've most likely had your fun. You're no longer going out there for short-term entertainment. You're looking for long-term fulfillment. It's really important that you get clear on why you're going out there, because if you've got a kaleidoscope of different reasons, like maybe one day, oh, I want a bit of fun. Next day, oh, I want a girlfriend. The day after that, oh, I want a wife. It's like the universe needs to know what you want, because then your actions align with your ambitions. And also, what's really important, let's just imagine that you are like my typical client. Let's imagine you are 38 years old, you're a high achieving guy, you're doing great in your career, you've prioritized your health, you've got money in the bank, but every time you go home, you're sleeping on your own. You're watching all your friends settle down, have kids, start families. You feel as though you've missed the boat, right? Let's say that you're in that position. And let's just say you really, really, really want a girlfriend. Let's just say that's what you want. You want a girlfriend, and then you want that girlfriend to become your wife. You need to get super clear. And this is why one of the first questions I asked to my guys when we first start working together, one second, I'm going to burp. Woo! One of the first questions that I ask my guys when we first start working together is, what do you want? I don't want the surface level bullshit that people say, oh, you know, Kristian, I just want to get a little bit more confident. Oh, do you know what? I'd be really happy if I got over my approach anxiety. Like, just cut the bullshit. Cut the bullshit. If your only goal in life is to get over your approach anxiety, you're thinking too small. Like, don't think in terms of days. Think in terms of decades. What do you want? Because whatever you tell me you want, we will get that. We will make it happen. The universe will start to conspire to give you the things that you want, but you need to know what you want. None of this fluff talk, none of this like low frequency thoughts. Like, oh, I just want to overcome my approach anxiety. You know what? I just want to feel a little bit more worthy. No, what do you want? Well, do you know what? I want a wife. That's what I want. I want a wife. Great. Now we've got a goal. And then once you're clear on that goal, it's like Nietzsche said, he who has a strong enough why can bear any how. If you want a girlfriend, it actually makes the process of cold approach a lot easier because you only need one. You only need one woman to think that you are amazingly awesome, jaw-droppingly spectacular. That's all you need. You only need to find one woman and you've ticked the dating box. But for a lot of guys, they want to want what they think they should want to want. They've been brainwashed by the brain dead into thinking that, oh, to be a high value man, I need to sleep with lots and lots and lots of women. Who said that? Like, why do you think that? That's a great question that you can ask yourself. Why do you think that? Like, why do you think that? Because there's no rules to any of this shit. If you want a wife, great, you can get a wife. But you need to know what you want. And then if you do want a wife, oh, this is so good. What I'm about to say, this is like some deep sauce that you can just sprinkle all over your lettuce and cucumber. That's not a euphemism, but it could be taken as one. When you know that, right, I want a wife, then you view every approach as allowing you to become the version of yourself that you need to be to find your wife. And then the rejections, the blowouts, they become a lot more manageable because you're not going out there trying to be everything to everybody. You're going out there to be a somebody for the right somebody. So rather than making the mistake that most guys make of trying to be universally attractive and trying to sleep with every woman that you approach, hoping that, oh, I hope that this woman likes me, rather than all that bullshit, you know you only need one. Right? And you're only ever, what did we say before? You're only ever one approach away from your entire life changing. You could do 20 direct call approaches, and then the 21st direct call approach you do, for whatever reason, maybe all the stars align, you just have that cosmic connection, and now you meet your future wife. This literally happened inside the Entourage. One of our guys, 43 years old, he applied to work with me over the summer. And then I think it was within a week of us working together, he'd done 14 direct call approaches, and the approach number 15 ended up being with this 19-year-old Brazilian girl. She then became his long-term girlfriend. You'd only done 15 call approaches. So it's like, this is what I'm trying to get across to you. Once you know what you want, it makes the notion of cold approach a lot more mentally manageable because you're not going out there to try and be universally attractive to everybody. You know what you want, you're clear with your intention, and then you can play the game from this place of knowing yourself. But I think you need to know why you're going out there. If you don't know why you're going out there, then you're just going to get lost in this dark forest of the unknown. It's not a pretty place to be, but you need to remind yourself of this. Remind yourself of this shit every single day. Why am I going out there? Why am I starting the business? Why am I going to the gym? Like, what do you want? What do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, then you're not going to get anything. The fourth mistake, this one's really easy. You've got no accountability. This is the reason, it's like, dude, it's not even rocket science. It's fucking easy. The reason why my guys get the results that they do is because they've got accountability. When I was living in Bangkok, I trained Muay Thai 4 to 5 times a week. I was training with absolute savages. If I was just on my own, watching Muay Thai videos, attempting to work it all out on my own, with nobody to hold me accountable, I wouldn't have become a proficient Muay Thai fighter. Accountability is what you lack at the moment. If you've been going out there, or trying to go out there, but you've got this kaleidoscope of excuses, you're creating all these different reasons in your mind as to why you can't approach girls, you need accountability in your life. Even the best football players or soccer players, depending on your geographical location, have coaches. Look at Ronaldo, look at Messi, look at Wayne Rooney. He was a G back in the day. You've got no accountability, right? If you've got nobody to push you, not to do your best, but to do what is necessary, then you're not going to actualize your full potential. When I'm working with my guys one-to-one in whatever city we're working in, like I was saying to you before about, we'll just call him Bald Guy, he didn't have a choice, right? He didn't have a choice. He paid his money. He was being held financially accountable. He also had some healthy male competition because he didn't want to look like a pussy in front of me for not going in and putting those approaches in. So if you've got no accountability, it's like going to the gym on your own and just trying to wing it, right? If you've got a personal trainer who you're paying money to get you into elite physical condition, and this is why knowing what you want is key, right? It's like if you know you want to compete in Mr. Olympia, then you're not going to half-ass that. You're going to get the right protocols in place. You're going to train with the best people you can train with. You're going to be super strict with your diet, your nutrition, your sleep. You're going to get everything dialed in and locked in, but you're going to have that accountability. Again, the accountability is there because even the most motivated individuals are not always feeling it. This is why where I've got to in my life now, starting off where I started as porn addict, erectile dysfunction, had £24.82 in my bank account. I was living in that grotty apartment in central Leeds. I've now invested north of $88,000, right? $88,000 into my own self-education. And I don't necessarily hire coaches, mentors. I don't necessarily join networks or go to mastermind. Like, the reason I'm out here in Dubai at the moment is because I attended a $15,000 event, right? 3 days, $15,000. Done, let's go. I don't pay my money necessarily to gain any new knowledge. I pay people who are better than me for them to hold me accountable, to hold me to a standard, because in life we don't achieve goals, we achieve standards. Understand that. We don't achieve goals, we achieve standards. And if I'm working with people whose standards are way higher than mine, then their standard becomes my new normal, right? It's like if you're training at the gym and you've only deadlifted 100 kg, and then you start working with a personal trainer who pushes you to deadlift 110 kg, the first time you hit that rep, that becomes your new normal. Or if you're selling products online and you've only ever been able to sell something for $1,000, and then one day you charge somebody $3,000 and they say yes, $3,000 becomes your new normal. Same when you're going out there and approaching women. Maybe you've got used to approaching a certain type of aesthetic of woman, right? Maybe, just to use a numerical scale so we all know what I'm talking about, maybe your standard has been set at a 6 and you just go out approaching 6s. As soon as somebody pushes you to start approaching 8s and then you do it consistently, the 8 becomes your new normal. That's the standard now, okay? So we don't achieve dreams, we achieve standards. And it's so important that you've actually got accountability in your life, because if you're just going out there with no accountability, no feedback, and no bullshit guidance from people who are better than you, then look, you can do cold approach as a fun little hobby, but in terms of actually getting results, like the result that you want, you need accountability. Like, I started in 2020, I was doing it on my own for like however many months, and then I started getting mentored in London by my camera guy, Daniel. He took me through the entire thing. I started to get filmed, I got feedback, he gave me feedback after every approach. Like, dude, I wouldn't have got to the level that I've got to if it hadn't have been for my mentors, if it hadn't have been for me recording my conversations, listening to them back, posting my infield footage onto YouTube, and people criticizing every single thing that I did. You need feedback, you need accountability, you need people who've got no emotional attachment to you whatsoever to tell you what you need to know rather than what you want to hear. So accountability, that's what I give to my guys. So it's like when we work together in person, I give them the entire playbook, but then I hold them accountable for their actions over a sustained period. Most bozos in this space, all they offer is like some bullshit 3-day one-on-one, or maybe it's not even one-on-one, maybe it's like group coaching. It's like, you get like this it's like this massive hit. It's like going to a Tony Robbins event, right? Getting this massive hit of euphoria, but what happens after that, right? So the reason why my guys get results is because I give them the entire playbook. It's one-to-one, none of this group coaching bollocks. And then I hold them accountable over a sustained period, right? That's the way you get results. It's not just by showing up for a weekend. It's showing up for the rest of your life. I don't want you to just be successful for a weekend. I want you to be successful for the long term. That's why you need accountability, okay? Next thing is not setting up the date during the initial conversation. This one's a big one. So what usually happens with guys, once they've overcome this approach anxiety, they'll start having conversations with women, and then what they'll notice is a lot of the numbers that they get, they don't go anywhere. And they keep wondering to themselves, oh, that's interesting. I'm not getting any dates. I'm doing a lot of approaches. I'm collecting a lot of numbers, but I'm not getting any dates. The thing which made the biggest difference for me, the thing that made the biggest difference for me was setting up the details of the date during that initial conversation, right? The reason why we do this is because people are less likely to bail on plans they've already committed to. So what I want you to start doing during your cold approach conversations is set up the date during that conversation. So let's say you're talking with a girl, the conversation is going great. Let's say it's time to take the phone number. What most guys do is they just take the phone number and then they bounce, okay? I want you to avoid that. If you can talk to the girl for like 1 more minute after taking her phone number, and then solidify the details of the date. And I'm talking super specific detail. Most guys are living like accidents, just going out there, doing a few approaches and hoping for the best. What you need to do is you need to have a plan before you start approaching. So where are you going to take these women? What day of the week? What does she need to wear? What time, right? The more clear you are in your approaches, it's going to show the girl that, oh, this guy's got a plan. I can trust this guy. He's able to lead me on adventures that the two of us are going to enjoy. It projects your proclivity as a protector. It's like, oh, this guy can handle shit. I really love a guy who takes charge, who takes action, who takes the initiative, takes the lead. So it's like, if you're speaking with a girl, conversation's going great, just be like, listen, I need to go, but you are really cool. I want to take you to the Shard this Saturday at 7 p.m. Wear your best frock. That's just an example. But like, people are less likely to bail on plans they've already committed to. And what actually makes this even more powerful is if you invite the girl into something that you're already doing. So therefore the date is not dependent on her inclusion. So let's say, for example, you've got an idea of going to the park this Saturday, right? So when you're speaking with Susie, it's like, hey, listen, by the way, I was planning on going to the park this Saturday, 12 p.m. You should come with me. Drop us your number and we'll arrange something that way. So it's like, if the date is not dependent on her inclusion, she's more likely to say yes. The way that most guys do it is like, oh, let's drop me your number and then maybe we can go out for drinks sometime over the next couple of days. It's just like, it's so lukewarm, it's so tepid. I used to do it all the time in my conversation. It's just a shit way of doing it. It's like, have conviction, have certainty, have authority, right? Girls love that shit. The feedback that I've got from girls that I've gone on dates with that I've had nice experiences with was, I love the way you approach me. I love the way that you just had a plan. And it doesn't matter, like, dude, you can be nervous. You don't need to be perfect in your conversations. Like, you can be stumbling over your words. In fact, it actually makes it better if you're not polished, because women, they don't fall for robots, they fall for real, right? She wants to feel your authenticity. She wants to actually see the person behind any sort of mask that you're portraying. This is another thing that guys fuck up with all the time. This is the reason why lines and routines and formulas do not work, because people fall in love with strangers. If you're getting dates with women, but you're presenting yourself as something that you're not, as this guy who's got it all together, as this guy who's super suave, who's super cool, but then as that relationship progresses, the mask starts to slip. You want to be presenting the version of yourself who you're prepared to be throughout the entirety of that relationship. So that means being real. If you run out of shit to say, own it. Like, listen, I was going to say something, you've distracted me, you're going to have to say something, or we're going to have to start talking about our hashtag feelings. Even if you're nervous, you can say that shit, but it's coming from a place of power rather than from a place of pessimism, right? It's not like going over to women and being like, hey, I hate myself, please complete me. It's like, no, you're already full, right? You're going over here to see if this woman is interesting enough to invite into your reality. But like, once you've got the details of the date solidified, it's not saying that every woman you approach is never going to flake, but it increases the likelihood she's going to come out on that date because she feels as though she doesn't have to, right? If you're already going, it's like, hey, I'm doing this thing, you can come if you want to, then you go from desperation to invitational, right? It's like, you're just kind of like whimsically wandering through the world, you're handing out these invitations, some are going to say yes, some are going to say no, but you're going anyway. And that's why it's so important that you're living an abundant lifestyle. Abundance doesn't just mean having an abundance of women, it's having an abundance of everything, always having things to look forward to, finding fulfillment in many things. Far too many guys who get started with cold approach, they forget about the rest of their lives. And it's like, if they're on a date with a girl and she's like, what do you do? He's like, I kind of just walk around the mall and talk to girls. Learn day game, don't become a day gamer. Don't allow this whole discipline to consume you. Make sure you're living a high octane, interesting lifestyle, going to the gym, traveling, spending time with the boys, working on your business, prioritizing your mental health. Like, beautiful women are a beautiful byproduct of a beautiful life. Remember that. What else are we doing? I can't actually remember how many numbers that we've done at the moment, but it doesn't really matter. Like the video if you're enjoying it. I don't know what number that we're on, but I'm just going to keep dropping these off anyway. Right, the next mistake is you're in the wrong city. This is a massive one. Environment's everything. Look, if you're in a city right now and I don't want to say there's nothing you can do to change it, because there is always something you can do. But let's just say for whatever reason, you're stuck in a city for the foreseeable future. Fine. Do the best with what you've got. I started 4 years ago in the city of Leeds. All I knew was face mask, social distancing. It was a pandemic, so international travel wasn't that possible. I didn't have any money anyway, so I couldn't even get a Ryanair flight. However, when you're looking into the future, environment is everything, okay? You want to be positioning yourself in the environments where you find the women attractive. Go where you're valued. Go to places where you find the women attractive, where you enjoy the culture, where you enjoy the climate. This is like such a game-changing piece of advice. If you want to attract Latina women, but you're living in Barnsley, you're going to struggle, right? Your actions don't align with your ambitions. If you want to attract a Latina woman, if you want to have a Latina wife, a Latina girlfriend, you're most likely not going to meet her in Barnsley, right? So if you want to find that type of woman, you position yourself in the environment where you're more likely to meet those women. And then let's say you live in the West, and let's say you want a Brazilian girlfriend. Then by going over to somewhere like Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo, I lived in Rio last year. When you go over to these environments, especially if you're from the West or you've got more of that exotic appeal, then what's going to happen is you position yourself in these environments and you start to leverage rarity, right? Rarity is one of the most powerful attraction triggers because you start to stimulate this mixed gene ideology where women are looking at you like, oh, this guy is out of my gene pool. That's attractive. That's different. That's rare. I like it. This is another reason why Ephraim got the results that he did in Warsaw, because when Ephraim first came to work with me in Warsaw, his self-limiting belief was, hey, dude, listen, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm really worried that the women are not going to like me in Warsaw because I'm black, right? And all it took was a reframe from me. I was like, dude, the women in Warsaw are going to love you because you're black. They don't see somebody like you every day. So you're going to stand out in the best way possible. And that's all he needed, right? That reframe allowed him to view every approach that he did, every look that he got from women as, oh, these women are looking at me because they find me attractive, rather than these women are looking at me because they don't like me, right? So positioning yourself in environments where you find the women attractive, where you feel valued as a man, dude, like, let's just break the fourth wall here. You get one opportunity, right? One opportunity at this game of life. And if you are living in a city where you don't find the women attractive, where the weather is shit, where you don't feel valued as a human being, like, this is your life, right? We never get the same moment twice. The same way that when I do these live streams, I get one take, right? I get one take, and then whatever I say, I say. It's the same way. Like, a YouTube live stream is actually the perfect metaphor for life. We get one take, right? You don't get to press replay. You don't get the same moment twice. So if you're not in a city which inspires you to become the best version of yourself, if you're not in a city where you find the women attractive, then fucking move. That's what I've been able to do. If I've been able to do it, you can do it as well. Anyway, next thing, your conversations are too platonic. Yeah, this is a big one. I've struggled with this for a long time. You can see it in my early cold approach conversations. I often gave off these gay best friend type of vibes. I often used to hide behind humor because I had people-pleasing tendencies. So I was always scared of saying the wrong thing, rocking the boat, or pissing people off. So my conversation never seems to go past that platonic chit-chat. I was rarely perceived as a sexual option. And that's because there was just too much nice guy tendencies. It was all kind of, my conversations were too top-heavy. So what you want to start doing, actually, the really easy thing that you can start doing right now, read My Secret Garden by Nancy Friday and listen to the audiobook as you're going around doing your hashtag cold approach sessions. If you've read My Secret Garden by Nancy Friday, your entire mind is going to be enlightened. You're going to find out that women are sexual beings. They're not these delicate little fairies that we need to tiptoe around. They're having dirty thoughts. They're having dirty thoughts about many things that you probably haven't even considered. If you read My Secret Garden by Nancy Friday, it's going to show you the true, beautiful side of female nature. Don't cast any judgment towards it. It just is. People are allowed to fantasize about whatever they want to fantasize about. But if you can actually view intersexual dynamics from this frame of, oh, women are thinking about sex, they're probably thinking about sex more than I am, then it's gonna change the way that you show up in your conversations, right? Because most of the guys that I work with, they are quintessential nice guys. And like an even easier conversational hack that I can give you right now, which is going to 100x your cold approach conversations and allow you to have more of that grounded, seductive vibe, is just to slow the fuck down. Just slow down in your conversations. Most guys are talking so fast. If you can even record the audio of your conversations, you're most likely going to get a massive shock, because you'll be like, oh, I'm talking way too fast. I'm coming across as an excitable little puppy. No wonder these women are not getting turned on by me. One of my favorite mindsets. Like, if you really want to create one of the greatest vibes possible with women, where they're hanging off your every word, they're desperate to go on a date with you, they're desperate to tell all the friends about you, you want to integrate both the energies of the father and the brother. Okay? Because what happens with most guys is they're either one energy or the other. You've got the guy that I used to be, like the entertainer, right? Where my energy was too top heavy. I was too playful. I was too charismatic. I was too jovial and lighthearted and carefree. And for that reason, I was never perceived as a sexual option. I was like, the reactions that I got was, oh, this guy's nice, right? Like that sort of gay best friend, excitable little puppy. But if you're too much on the other spectrum, where you're very serious, you're very logical, you're almost too grounded, where your energy is just too low, then you're going to be putting the girls to sleep. You're going to come across as boring, as too serious. Remember, girls just want to have fun. But they also want a guy who can be an authority figure in their lives. You don't just want to be the fun person. You don't just want to be the serious person. You want to be able to blend the two energies. And the best analogy is the brother and the father. Imagine a beautiful girl and she's got a brother. How does a brother interact with his sister? He's lighthearted, he's jovial, he's playful, he takes a piss out of her, he doesn't put her on a pedestal, he's not up in his head thinking, oh, should I say this? No, he just is, right? But you want to balance that energy with the energy of the father. Think about a beautiful girl who's got a father, right? Now imagine his energy. He's more grounded, he's more decisive, he's got more authority. If you can blend these two energies together, you've got something very special. Understand, men become aroused through their eyes, women become aroused through their ears. What this speaks to is women have got different attraction triggers compared to us as men. And depending on what time of the month it is, depending on where she's at in her ovulation cycle, depending on the most recent conversation she had with a Latvian dominatrix friend, depending on what novel she's currently reading, maybe she's reading My Secret Garden at the moment because she's watching this live stream. You don't know what she wants, and she doesn't know what she wants either, okay? So this is why it's so important that you lead with authenticity, because remember, the person who you present yourself as being at the start of that relationship has to be the person you're going to be throughout the entirety of the relationship. But if you can focus on bringing both of these energies together, because you've already got everything that you need, and this is such a game-changing piece of advice as well. You've already got everything that you need. And this is why I say game is not learning anything new. It's unlearning, right? Unlearning and then relearning the things we already know, right? You see a beautiful girl. What's your first impulse? I want to go over and talk to her. That's what the impulse is. But because you've got so much social conditioning holding you back, that's what's stopping you. It's not approach anxiety. This is what I'm saying to you boys. You don't have dating problems. You've got personal problems which manifest themselves into dating problems. So maybe you've never felt worthy. Maybe you didn't receive the love that you needed to as a child. Maybe you didn't get picked for the high school basketball team and it made you doubt yourself. Maybe you've had relationships that have failed in the past. Whatever it is, all of these personal problems will manifest themselves into dating problems. And until you can make the unconscious conscious, it'll rule your life and you will call it fate. That's Carl Jung. But remember, what did we say at the start? We take the behaviors and the beliefs will follow, okay? So if you want to get better at approaching, you just approach. You approach, and you allow the belief to follow action. But if you can integrate both of these energies, and it's a gradual process as well, like you don't need to put too much pressure on yourself, like, oh my God, I need to be perfect, I need to be the brother, I need to be the father, or fuck, like, was there some like donkey that you talked about as well? Like, take it easy. One approach at a time, right? Don't count your approaches, make your approaches count after you've done the first 100. But if you can have both of these energies, then you're going to be able to ignite a lot of curiosity in these women, right? So that's important. The next one is you're not optimizing for the first 3 seconds. This one's important as well. They're all important, but I guess this one is important. So what I found to be true is the first 3 seconds of your cold approach are the most important, okay? It's during those first 3 seconds that the woman that you're approaching is going to get an instant impression of you, right? You've probably heard it before. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. And anybody online who is saying things like looks don't matter is telling you a complete pile of horseshit. Yes, looks do matter, but there's a big difference between being good looking and looking good. And it's within any man's power to improve upon what he's been given and play his hand to the best of his ability. Now look, here's a nuance. You're not necessarily improving your appearance because aesthetics are the only thing that's going to get a woman attractive. But you're improving your appearance to feel better about yourself. What I found is the more effort I put into myself externally, the better I feel internally, okay? So the first 3 seconds are so important. You want to be making sure that you look and feel as good as possible because she feels what you feel, right? The girl is your mirror. This is a game of energy transference. So you want to make sure that you feel good, like training hard, sleeping well, limiting your alcohol intake, not smoking cigarettes every couple of days, get rid of the porn, stop wanking yourself off into a sock, get rid of these negative habits because if you're just waking up every day, like scrolling social media, watching porn, going to a job that you hate, coming back, try to do some approaches, like you're just giving off a loser type of energy. And I've been in this position, right? I used to be a low life loser. I know what that feels like. But the first 3 seconds are so important. So make sure when you're going out there, you do feel good about yourself, right? You look and feel as good as possible. You're still going to have nerves, of course you are, because you need your behaviors to reflect the ambitions that you want to achieve. But approach with conviction as well, right? This is the problem that I see with a lot of guys. They'll approach, but they're not really approaching. It's like going halfway with half a heart only digs a deeper grave. So when you see that woman, especially the really, really beautiful women, I want you to start approaching with full conviction because something that you'll find is the more attractive the girl is, I found the more balls you want to display when you're approaching her because like the really, really attractive girls, nobody's approaching them, okay? So you don't want to be going over to girls and be like, hey, excuse me, you know what? I just had to say, you look cute. You look nice. Oh, you look good. It's like, it's just too whimsical. You're giving a gay best friend type of vibes. Go over, give them hard-hitting compliments. Like, and understand as well, it's not what you say, it's not how you say it, it's who you are when you say it, okay? So you can download my free course. I go way deeper in those. However, approach with conviction. A mindset that I give to my guys is imagine for whatever reason, after you do this approach, the world is going to end. It's like Armageddon approaching. That mindset gets you into the headspace of playing to win rather than playing not to lose. Okay? Go and deliver yourself unapologetically to this woman. So like go over like, hey, excuse me, you look so good. You look amazing. You look incredible. You look divine. You look unreal. You look fucking amazing. And I would have regretted not coming over here and giving you a hard-hitting compliment, right? It's like that energy, that lust for life, that no fucks given, that devil-may-care attitude, that one day, in 100 years' time, none of this is going to matter. In 20 years' time, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I wish I'd have taken more bold risks. I wish I'd have taken more action. I wish I wouldn't have cared too much about what random strangers thought about me. Approach with full conviction. This is how you optimize for those first 3 seconds, right? Approach with full conviction. You can see this in the approaches that I do. Watch the main video on my channel, the one what's titled, I approached 33 girls in London to overcome my fear of rejection. That's what I'm talking about. Audacious, ballsy, hard-hitting approaches where even if you don't get the number, you get the respect, right? And then when you do approach with conviction, when you go all in and you hold nothing back, you speak to a woman's biology rather than her psychology, right? It's like, oh my God, I might not give the guy my number, but fucking hell, that turned me on. The way that he approached me, the way that he looked at me, I like that. Because the world that we're living in, where most guys have lost their balls, where most guys are DMing women on Instagram being like, hey, beautiful, like there's just a society filled with simps of low life, low frequency losers who've checked out. Like that's your competition. Your competition are not even trying. And you don't even need to be that good. You just need to do something, right? Whilst the rest of the guys are just swiping their lives away on screens or hanging around grotty nightclubs hoping to get lucky with some low quality girl at 3 a.m. If you can be that high frequency Renaissance warrior who's like, do you know what? I might not believe fully myself right now, but I do believe that if I keep putting the reps in, I will get to where I want to get to because I understand belief follows action. I use Kristian as an example. He started from absolutely nothing. He started off from ground zero and now he's done the best of himself. I can do it as well, right? That's what confidence is. Confidence is optimism in the absence of certainty, right? You don't need to be certain. You just need to take the actions that version of yourself who is living a top 1% dating life would take, right? So you don't need to be certain. You need optimism in the absence of certainty. And then it's just having that delusional optimism, that irrational confidence that if I put in enough action, the universe will reward me. Blessings on your courage, boy. That's the way to the stars. Optimize for the first 3 seconds. Make sure you're looking and feeling good. Go over, full conviction, blow that woman away within the first 3 seconds. Worst case scenario, she respects you and you get a nice little state boost. What else have we got? I think that's all of them, isn't it? Done that one. Oh, that's the final one. This is a good one. Oh, boys, if you're enjoying this, drop the live stream a like. I'm going super hard on this. I don't even know how long I've been speaking for. Fucking hell, almost an hour. This is some serious sauce. This will be a live stream that you come back to. But yeah, if you're enjoying it, drop it a like. It just tells me that you're enjoying the stream. I don't enable the live chat because usually there's loads of weird comments. So I just use the likes as a good tally that people are enjoying it. Okay, the final thing is you're placing excess importance on every single approach. Dude, this one is so important, right? What I've found to be true with the guys who I work with, especially guys who start off life as, let's just say, a nice guy or a people pleaser, they place excess importance on every approach that they do. They view every approach as a make or break situation. And when we place excess importance on something, it creates an emotional imbalance. And that emotional imbalance puts us into a place of lack. So let's say you really, really, really hope that your flight doesn't get delayed on Saturday, right? Because you're so focused on what you don't want, it creates excess potential, right? And that excess importance, the universe needs balance, okay? So what usually happens is your flight will get delayed because of the excess importance you've placed on the flight, right? But if you can just have more of this devil may care, no fucks given attitude, the less importance you place on situations, the more likely you are to get the result that you want. And this is why when people say to you, be detached from outcome, that advice is actually stupid, because for me, the mind always needs an outcome to focus on, right? Otherwise I wouldn't do it. But you view the rep as the reward. That is the only mindset you need, because as soon as you start placing excess importance on what a woman thinks about you, because this is what guys do. They take the approach, they take the situation, they take themselves, and they take the woman too seriously, right? They're telling themselves, if I get rejected by this woman, then she's a spokeswoman for all other women worldwide. That means I'm an unlovable piece of shit. I might as well go and crawl into a sweet and salty heart-shaped condom. No, she's just one girl, right? She's one woman in the multitude of many. And all you need to do when you're going out there, the mindsets that I want you to employ, you're going out to give. You already feel whole in yourself. Like when you can operate from a place of wholeness rather than from a place of lack, that all you want to do is give. It's like, my cup is so full, all I want to do is give today. This is why having an abundant lifestyle is so important. Always having things to look forward to, always having things to invite these women into. If you can operate from this place of wholeness, you place less importance on the outcome of any particular conversation. Because again, there's so many factors that go into play. You don't have full control over your approaches. The only thing you have control over is your reaction to events. It's like Shakespeare said, nothing is good nor bad, it's the thinking that makes it so. Perception is reality. Even if it's not true, we make it true by believing in it, okay? So rather than going out there because you want to get approval, you want to get validated, you want to you want to feel enough, you're going out there as discipline, right? You're viewing the rep as the reward. And once you view that, everything else is a bonus. It's like, I'm going out there as the most aggressive form of self-development. I don't need anything from anybody. You view the rep as a reward. You remind yourself, you're only ever one approach away from your entire life changing. You only need one. If you want a wife, you only need one. Right? You only need to find one woman who thinks that you are amazing, and then you view every approach that doesn't go your way as preparation, as a stepping stone for becoming the version of yourself you need to become to live the dating life that you want to live. But the more excess importance you place on any specific outcome, the further away it gets from your grasp. So I have no idea if that's 9, but my vocal cords are absolutely scorched. But I really hope that this video is useful. If you've enjoyed this, drop it a like. That's all I ask. Drop it a like, and if you want me to go even deeper with this shit, download my free courses. I've got 2 free courses, Conversation Killer, which gives you the entire call approach blueprint, and my most fuckable man course. That's about mental mastery, like rewiring your internal system, becoming the version of yourself who call approach can actually work for. Dude, this is like 15 years of social expertise. I give it all away. I give away information and I charge for implementation, right? That's what I charge money for, okay? So if you've got to a stage where you're sick of watching videos, your dating life sucks, you just want this skill set, you want to skip all the trial and error, and you just want to be given a proven blueprint that actually works, then you can apply to work with me. But yeah, download the free courses, watch this video back a couple of times, like the stream, and I'll speak with you boys again tomorrow. All right, I love you all very much. Bye.